Hello, guys, and welcome back to the LFC Transfer Room for another daily 7:30 live stream. Today, joined by two lovely Americans, Brandon and Race. Brandon, I'll start with you. How are you doing today, mate?
I'm doing all right. Excited to be here. Ready to, I guess, go over what we got to go over.
Yeah, and Race yourself. How are you doing today?
Good, but I'm getting bored of not having any football to watch. I'm ready to get the games back rolling here.
Yeah, we've been very starved in our little WhatsApp chat. We've been talking about American football, which isn't the most entertaining, maybe, but it's not too bad, but it's not the same as real football. But again, guys, if you are just joining us, please make sure you do leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Helps us out an absolute ton. First thing we are going to be discussing is the Liverpool. We'll just touch on it a little bit. Liverpool Europa League squad was announced today. Some not really noticeable exclusions, I guess. But Brandon, I'll start with you. Main inclusions that were a bit surprising were, or not really surprising, but it was nice to see, were Ben Doak, who's impressed against Scotland as well, and Bobby Clark, who we signed from Newcastle, who was a striker with Newcastle, but is now a kind of weird box-to-box midfielder with us. Obviously, they're on the A list because they haven't been with us for 3 full years yet. But the likes of Kwanzaa and Elliott and Jones are on the B list because how it works. So, also another noticeable absence I want to get your thoughts on, Brandon. Adrian has been excluded, which we all thought was going to happen, but they have replaced him with another goalkeeper who isn't on the B list with Jaros. So kind of hints at Adrian leaving next season. See him a lot more as maybe just a coach now, don't you?
Yeah. As you know, Adrian has been on the should be leaving list for 2 or 3 seasons now, it feels like. So I feel like this is finally kind of the writing on the wall. I was shocked that we went with another deal. If it wasn't to move directly into coaching, I guess. That was the only way I thought we'd bring him back if he was directly going into being a goalkeeping coach or a youth side coach or something of that nature, if that's what he wants to do. But yeah, I think this is just more clarification of what we're moving forward with in terms of the goalkeeping situation of who's going to be number 3. Maybe it is Jaros, or Adrian definitely looks out of the picture now.
Yeah, Race and Ben Doak there, Bobby Clark, Jarrell Kwanzaa are obviously on the B list as well. Maybe not as many youth players as we maybe thought. Maybe a couple of others could have put the name down, but again, we don't know who's on the B list, so it's probably a lot more. But it's nice to see Ben Doak, and you'd expect him to be a starter heading into the Europa League, wouldn't you?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that's how we're viewing this Europa League this year, especially with the draw that we have, and maybe the next first knockout round for that. It'd be interesting to see how these guys do, in a Europe type setting, and we hope that, while the likes of Salah and Diaz and Nunez, those guys will get their run in, but certainly there's an opportunity to be made for some rotation, especially with this these next few games we have. They're going to be coming in quick, so we'll need to utilize our squad depth. So Ben Doak, of course, we've talked so much about him really in the preseason, and hoping that he can kind of break through and have a breakthrough type of campaign. So hopefully it's exciting to see them including this squad, and along with Bobby Clark as well, because that's we'll see if he can make some noise as well.
Yeah, definitely. And Brandon, I'll kind of just get your thoughts really quickly on Ben Doak. Do you think he's a nailed-on starter for especially Europa group stages, or do you think obviously with us not in the Champions League anymore, maybe do we just go right? Let's just win every single game.
I think he definitely would use the opportunity to bleed Doak more and see how far along he really is against better competition. Obviously, Europa League's not like the top, but I mean, it's going to be better competition for him, more opportunity to see what he is. And I know some of us have rumblings that maybe he is the Salah replacement, and we don't need to go spend 50, 80, 100 million on somebody else if Ben Doak is that ready. So, I mean, this is the best opportunity to see him. We have enough depth where we won't be killed by starting him if he has a bad game. There's enough depth. If we don't play Nunez, we can play Yakpo. We have Yoda. We have all these different guys who can definitely bring him into the first team a lot easier. And I'm as excited to see Bobby Clark as well in this type of situation, because I've liked a lot what I've seen from him the times I've seen him in the summer, the times he got to play a little bit last year, and I think last summer even. I'm excited to see what he can do. I think I'm not sure if he's going to be a starter, but definitely Doak starter. But I'm excited just as much to see Clark.
Yeah, definitely. And Race, I know it's really early in the competition, but we should be looking at winning this, shouldn't we? With that squad, it's a Champions League squad, one that would challenge for the Champions League. And disappointing, obviously, we are in the Europa League, but I think anything less than a minimum of final. Obviously, you don't know who's dropping down and stuff, but I mean, in my eyes, I think we should be breezing the competition.
I mean, as long as we don't run into a team from Madrid, we should win the competition, right? Because Klopp's record in European competition is perfect outside of facing Atletico or Real Madrid. Knocking
Spanish
us out.
Teams,
So
Sevilla as well, yeah.
Yeah,
So.
It's certainly the expectation is to go and win this competition. Barring some crazy Champions League result where a great team just drops into the Europa League. I don't know if there's any sort of betting odds or stuff like that, but I would assume we're one of the favorites to win this combination, if not the favorite.
I think on the odds, when the last one I saw, I think we were 9-4 to win it, and the next closest was Brighton at like 6-1. So we're heavy favourites. Obviously, again, it factors in the teams that are going to be dropping down, because I mean that group of death that with Newcastle, can't remember who else, Newcastle, Milan, other too strong Dortmund and somebody else. Whoever drops down into that group is going to be one of the favourites. So, I mean, look, it's the Europa League. I'm not going to get too crazy about it until we get to like a semi-final or something. But hello to everybody joining. Helio, Paul Lindo says that England, Scotland's on in 15 minutes. You've got to keep us updated with the score. Maybe not the biggest England fans here. And the fact there's no Liverpool, apart from Andy Robertson, actually. So, yeah, go Scotland. But again, guys, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you're new, it helps the channel grow a bunch. We've got another show coming out tonight, a bit of a tester, an American show. So it's going to be at 2 a.m. UK time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Central time, and 6 p.m. West Coast. Oh, no, East. I've forgotten West Coast, yeah. So make sure you do subscribe and leave a like for that. Full of Americans, but saying that, this show is 2/3 American today, so it's an American day. Okay, next topic. Liverpool are again being linked with PSV Eindhoven's Johan Bakayoko. There was talks about this in January, never materialised, and he was very close to a £30 million move to Burnley. Medical was booked, bid had been accepted. He rejected it. Now reports coming from Sport Pete for Football Insider, who have claimed that Liverpool are going to be going all out to sign him in January. Race, we're going to be looking at the big story coming out of January and summer is going to be who replaces Salah. Because I think everybody is under the general consensus that this is going to be Mohamed Salah's last full season at Liverpool. Who knows? Maybe we offer him a crazy new contract and he stays for another year or so. But his team seems to be leaning towards it. He seems to be leaning towards it. And with the money they're offering, who can blame? If we get over 100 million next year, it's going to be, a done deal. But we need to find a replacement, and Bakayoko, even though not much of a goal scorer, more of an out-and-out winger, maybe like a Luis Diaz is for us now. But he's young, he's exciting. I don't think, for the price, I don't think it would be the worst one. Can you see us potentially getting it done in January to, bed him in and maybe learn from Salah for 6 months, get used to the system, so when the summer comes around, he's got 6 months at the club, a full pre-season, and hopefully he hits the ground running.
Yeah, it's kind of like when we brought in Luis Diaz was basically the Mane replacement. He was able to get that run in with the team, and then came back the next season was really sharp for us, and is looking sharp again this season. I think it's you mentioned how he's not much of a goal scoring threat, and I think when you look at this team, post Salah. I think you would expect Nunez to kind of be our main goal scorer when Salah's kind of left the team, if that's the case. So you won't be looking for more, as much goal scoring output from, the wide areas. Of course, you'll obviously take it and you want to see more goals, but I think maybe there'd be a little shift to, maybe Nunez or Gakpo or even Jota too. He's got an incredible, goal scoring record. And I could certainly see us, being interested in making a move, in January, because again, like you said, it's certainly there's a strong feeling that Salah, this is going to be his last, season with the team, and of course, nothing's certain in the transfer market. Things can happen. It's just you never know, but certainly that's kind of the feeling, especially when you look at he's got after this season, he'll have 1 year left on his contract. So, there's going to have to be a conversation made. And again, with as much money as they're willing to bid, from Saudi Arabia for Salah, it is going to be hard to turn down. So, I certainly think an interest in any, sort of winger to replace Salah is legit. Seeing this guy, being left footed and certainly, on the right wing, that's kind of something we like, a player to cut in. So, maybe fits that profile. I don't know too much on the player, but, just the profile might, seem to be the right fit. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because of course, injuries happen and maybe we're desperate for another, attacker, and then that'll kind of pique our interest more in signing a player in January. If everyone stays fit, which you can never really bank on, maybe we don't, but yeah, this is certainly kind of on the backs of Salah's future with the club.
Yeah, and Brandon, it's Paul's put here that Bakayoko rejected Brentford. I think it was Brentford. He was linked with Burnley as well. After that bid had been accepted, there was news that he could potentially be on his way to Liverpool. Decided to stay at PSV. It does seem weird that he rejected a move to Brentford. He would have probably went there and been a starter for them in the Premier League. When I originally heard that news, I was very much in the camp of something has happened here. I thought, is it potentially Liverpool do want to sign him, but they're maybe not ready to put the money up in the summer. So they're just going to say to him, look, we'll come and sign you in January, just reject this move, give you a few extra million signing on bonus if you do. And obviously Liverpool have got a good relationship with PSV, and we have done deals with PSV in the January transfer market with Cody Gakpo. So I think it makes a lot of sense. He is an out-and-out right winger, which a lot of the players that Liverpool fans want to bring in are actual right wingers. Matoma, Kvaratskhelia, loads. People want the big names, but bit raw last season though. 23 games, 5 goals, 5 assists in 1,300 minutes. 20 years old. There's definitely a player in there that Klopp could make into a maybe not an out. We'll talk about it in a minute. Maybe not an out-and-out Salah replacement, because it's going to be hard to find that. But we could change our game a little bit, and he looks like a decent player in the making, doesn't he?
He does. You kind of touched on right there at the end. I think if we're going out for like Bakayoko, we were probably looking to an evolution of the system, whether we go more like almost a traditional 9 with Darwin up top, spearheading everything. I'm not sure if that's like the actual plan, like Diaz and Bakayoko on each side. He's definitely raw. I only got to watch like the last half hour of the Belgium Azerbaijan game at work, and they didn't look impressive. Nobody in Belgium looked impressive during the game. So I'm not going to sit there and rate him after 30 minutes and say, yeah, he's not worth it. But, he didn't stand out there, but that field looked horrible watching that game. Definitely raw. There's definitely a player there. Whether Klopp can mold him into somebody who can replace Salah, or if he wants to evolve the system, is probably the bigger question.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good kind of point. I've just muted myself. That's a good kind of point, isn't it, Reece? I've talked a lot that we are not going to replace Mohamed Salah directly, and people need to not expect that because one, whoever comes in, it's going to put massive pressure on them because a lot of the fans are going to be expecting someone to come in and get 40 goals and assists, and that's not realistic. I think we need to be looking at a long-term player who is under the age of 23. I do have an exception to that, and his name's Jared Bowen. But if we don't get Jared Bowen, I think we should get someone under the age of 23, 24, who is going to come in, get you 10, 15 goals, and then hope to God that Darwin Núñez can become the striker that he looks like he can be. I think at the moment, our game still does cater to Mohamed Salah a little bit. But if we can get Darwin Núñez as our centerpiece and just feed him balls, I think he can replace Salah's numbers. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, replacing Salah is an almost impossible task when not just talking about his goal scoring ability, it's just his availability and his incredible fitness levels. And, that's also, I mean, that's just a priceless thing there. You can't, there's not many players you can rely upon every week in, week out and just be fit all the time. So I certainly think when the time comes to quote replace Salah, it's going to be, multiple guys coming in, I think, because, you're going to have to work and make it work. And like you said, with hopefully Nunez is kind of the top dog, hopefully our top goal scorer, because we paid a big fee for him. We certainly have high expectations for him. So hopefully he'll show this season that he'll be he'll be our main number 9 and kind of lock that down and challenge to be one of our top goal scorers this season. If it's not Salah, hopefully Nunez can maybe step up there. It's certainly it's an uncertain thing to think about a future without Salah. And I just think back to when we first signed Salah, I mean, no one expected him. I don't even think Klopp, Liverpool expected him to have the first season that he had. They're like, whoa, this guy's like the best winger in the world, so we need to make sure he's our system fits him. So now that you think of a high goal scoring winger, that's not necessarily a common thing. So Nunez being our the quote traditional number 9 in the sense that that being our main goal scorer. So it'll be interesting to see kind of just how our team kind of evolves. And I think this season I really saw, I feel like he's been a little more in the creative mode. He's had a number of assists already this season. So just being able to be that complete winger is going to take some time, and I think you're going to have multiple guys kind of attempt to fill the void that Salah's going to leave behind.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility either. That the player we bring in is unbelievable and just happens to do a Salah. Who expected Mohamed Salah to break the Premier League goal scoring record in his first season? I don't think any person in world football would have predicted that. And if they did, they would have been labelled absolutely mental. And I just don't see it. Again, is it probable? Probably not. Is it unlikely? Probably. Is it impossible? Absolutely not. Salah was what a 20 goal a season scorer for Roma. Same with Fiorentina too, and then he comes out and bags 40, 50 goals and assists in his first season at Liverpool. Why can't Bakayoko come? Some players suit different leagues better, and we've saw that with loads of players over the years. So who knows? But guys, please do leave a like on the channel and subscribe. It helps us grow a bunch. As I said before, we'll be live again for the American viewers at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with a new show. So if you are free, please make sure you do subscribe with the bell notification on. We'll also be posting it on Twitter when we go live as well. And also we stream every day at 7:30. So make sure you are subscribed not to miss that. Also too, guys, please leave comments in. It's been a bit of a slow news day, so any questions for the lads, pop your comments in and we'll answer them after we've took over the main topics of today. Next topic, I don't know how you say his name, but Nayef Aguerd. Really not sure, but if you've been on the channel a long time, you know I butcher names. So that's nothing new. But Liverpool have been linked with a January move for him alongside Manchester City. He was bought 2 seasons ago by West Ham for €30 million. With the price as a centre back, they're probably going to be demanding 70 million, especially in January. But Brandon, he's a left-sided centre back. A national team starter with Morocco. I think he's been very, very impressive for West Ham. Obviously, he got that red card, and he is maybe a bit. He's a bit out there. Obviously, he's 27 as well, so a bit older. For me, the price, his age. Yes, he's a left-footed centre-back, but I think for the price, I'd rather take a bit of a risk on somebody else who's a lot younger, especially if this is going to be our Virgil van Dijk replacement. I mean, what are your thoughts on Aguerd or Aguerd? I don't know how to say his name. That fella.
Yeah, it seems like an odd one. Like the age profile doesn't really fit what we try to do. He's a left-sided center back. He's played well for West Ham, but I think he's also had injury issues. I'm not sure if just at West Ham or if early in the career. I think at Dijon before he moved to West Ham, he didn't play a whole lot. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm kind of with you. I feel like if we're going after somebody for the Virgil replacement, it would be somebody younger. I'd be interested to see if Dortmund, if they were to, say, finish 4th in their group of death and they're knocked out of Europe completely, whether Schlotterbeck can become available in January. I mean, that would be kind of the guy I'm hoping for, left-sided center back who has a lot of room to grow. That would be who I would want. But yeah, this one with the West Ham guy, I'm not going to try and butcher his name. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, especially at the price quoted.
Yeah, and race, I think this is kind of just a story to try and get people maybe. It's a bit of a clickbait story, let's be honest. Why the Man City want him? Why the Liverpool want him? He's, doesn't fit the age profile for either side. Are West Ham really going to sell him while they're in the Europa League? Maybe they got knocked out and, they do look at cashing in on him. But again, for the price, they don't need money. They've just got 105 mil for Declan Rice. They're going to be wanting 70, 80 million, which is absolutely ludicrous for a player of his standard. But, Liverpool do need a left centre-back, so it's kind of a weird one. But, I mean, I stand with Brandon. I think, if you're going to be signing somebody for that much, you need to be looking at a Schlotterbeck or a Bastoni, or Vardy Alfred. I don't know he's gone, but a player of that standard. And he's not that, is he?
No, and also too, if Moroccan and have an AFCON in January, I mean that's kind of already puts you behind the 8 ball if you sign him, and then he's already not going to be with the team. And I know it's just a short period of time, but yeah, I'm with you guys. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'll kind of speak on the center back, making a move for one. I think it's kind of a waiting game right now just to see how our depth options are going to play out this season, with specifically Matip and Gomez. Because of course Konate's already picked up an injury, and then Virgil, of course, serving his red card suspension. So our depth is already being tested, right away. And so I think if there's some clear defensive problems with our depth, I think we'll certainly look to make a move in January, because the summer transfer window was all about the midfield and getting the midfield right first, and then the defense was kind of the second thing to look at. Just the way we did our business. And I think we all agreed we hope to bring in a center back this past window, but just looking at the way we've done business in the past, we're certainly not a passive club in January. Like if we see a need, or if we see, a player that we want, we'll go and get him. It's I just kind of think of, the Gakpo move last winter was kind of a little bit of a surprise, bringing in that player, but it's certainly a welcome addition and a really good player for us going forward. So I think, on this guy, certainly, like you said, the player profile, the age, the price, the team that will sell him, West Ham, if they're still in the Europa League, and they've had a good start to the season. Why would they kind of be, selling off players already, unless they're looking to just really cash in big? So There's certain other defenders out there that I'm sure would be better options than this guy.
Yeah, and a few people have mentioned other names here. Brandon, Hincapié, from Sir Oswald there. Paul Lindo said, go for Bastoni. Vasa Flowers as well, saying Hincapié. We've been linked with the other Bayer Leverkusen centre back, Taz Pobe. I don't know how you say his name. You've obviously mentioned Slotterbeck. Been linked with Goncalo and Nashio, so we know Stephen has a love affair with. So, and as Race has just mentioned there, the past few years we have been very active in the winter transfer market, and we do always say if the right deal comes up, we will take it. However, I do think I think if we were to sign anybody in January, it would be a left centre back. But if we go into summer and, Virgil van Dijk's fully fit, Ibrahima Konate is fully fit, Joel Gomez is fully fit, Joel Matip is fully fit, and Kwanzaa's fully fit, I don't think we sign a left centre back. However, if one of them has a decent long-term injury, and it definitely opens the door. If that was the case, I know you've mentioned Slotterbeck, but who kind of fits your profile that we could get a January transfer move and would be on a relatively cheapish side?
Our Lord and Savior Stephen Colker. No, really. Schottlerbeck has been on the top of my list. I think since I kind of looked into him over the summer, I think one of the streams I did, I think it was Dan mentioned him, so I did more digging, and he seemed like the perfect one. But Ignacio is also way up there. I think he would fit kind of profile need. Obviously, age works out well. In terms of cheapish, I would have to do digging. I don't think we would want to go on I think if we're going, typically when we go in January, we go big. So I don't think there's like a smaller option. We go get Louis Diaz for how much money, Yakpo, Virgil over the years. So I think if we're going for somebody in January, I think you're right. There'll be an injury issue kind of going on, and the right player, right time, and he's available, and basically staving off anybody else who wants him.
I think that's a good point we did see with Luis Diaz and Cody Gakpo. The reason why we went for them was because other clubs were interested. Man United were, actively trying to find funds to sign Gakpo. Tottenham went in for Luis Diaz, but we'd already talked to him, said we'll sign you next summer. However, Porto were like, no, we'll take the money now, which kind of forced our hand. Virgil van Dijk as well. Obviously, we tried to sign him in summer, and then there was talks of every other club trying to sign him. So we paid the money up. And you look at all them signings, our January signings do not flop. Very, very rarely do we make a bad January signing. And that is because, one, they are the first choice player that we want. And two, we are that certain that they are going to succeed. We're willing to just blow the funds. Another one, race that's being mentioned is Arthur Tete. I think he's just signed a new deal with Standard Renaissance, team in France, which could kind of hint at, he's got a release clause in there. He's kind of agreed, look, I'll stay with you this year if you let me go at a decent price next season. But I'll take it to you, Medina, another one as well. If we were to sign someone in January, who do you think would be a good fit?
It's tough to say. I can't say I have a too good grasp on the market there. I think the center back that we're linked to from Leverkusen, I forget his name, whoever it is, Hincapié. Yeah, I think you look at a player like him, good age, only 21 years old, and certainly on the come up. And yeah, the type of player that we bring in will certainly it'll be a long-term type of buy and solution, not necessarily someone of someone like Endo's stature, kind of a stopgap situation there. It's going to be someone that we bring in that will start alongside look to start alongside Virgil or Konate, or whoever, whatever the future of our defense looks like. Because like you said, we've done really good business in the January window, because you kind of have this first part of the season to kind of see how they do. And then you can maybe get a little bit of a bargain, because it's not a full season's worth of tape of a, scouting report that you have on him. So you can kind of act before the full market, goes after him, because, everyone's doing business in the summer, but not everyone does business in the winter window. And certainly, if we're, having the type of season where, we're challenging for, the Premier League, we're, obviously through in the Europa League and all that. So, that could change things as well if we're really, trying to go forward and we have, an injury crisis or whatever it may be. Certainly I could see us acting on it.
Yeah, another one that Jamie has mentioned here, Lloyd Kelly, linked with him a decent amount of time ago. I can't remember if it was when we were bringing Robertson in or Simicast. Whenever it was, we were linked with him, and he ended up moving to Bournemouth. Fell out of favour at Bournemouth now, and I think a lot of clubs are going to be in for him January. Screams a Tottenham signing to me, if I'm going to be honest. And that's who Tottenham have been linked with. Them. I think that ship's gone. I think once people reject Liverpool, we don't usually go back in for them. And he turns us down to go to Bournemouth to get more game time. So I think that ship has sailed personally. But before we move on to the main topic of Jurgen Klopp, please do leave a like on the stream. Helps us grow, helps us reach more Reds. Also, do subscribe with the bell notification on. For all you American viewers, we are going to be doing an American stream tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time, which is 2 a.m. UK time. So if you're a late bird in the UK or a night owl, that's an early bird, night owl. If you're a night owl, you can watch that too. But just, make sure you do have your bell notifications on. Final topic, lads. Jurgen Klopp, German national team, Hansi Flick. It all went to crap for them. Hansi Flick got absolutely destroyed by Wataru Endo's Japanese side, who played unreal, absolutely tore their midfield apart. First Germany coach in 138 years of them existing to actually be sacked and not leave on his own accord, which is mad considering I think he went 25 games unbeaten when he first come in. And they were one of the favourites for the World Cup. So it's crazy how things change. And obviously we all knew it was going to happen, but as soon as he got sacked, Jurgen Klopp was linked with as the one that the German FA want the most. Obviously they've made no secret of that. I think they tried to sign him before Hansi Flick. He said no. Looks like they've made an approach for him again to do the job alongside Liverpool. I think they've accepted that he's not leaving Liverpool. So they've approached him. And according to Pletty Goal, he's once again said no and doesn't think that he can do both jobs alongside each other. Brandon, good news for Liverpool, that isn't it? I think it would have, if he took the Germany job, I think that would have meant that he is leaving at the end of his contract in 2 years. It's also nice that he's given 100% to Liverpool, isn't it? The passion is still there. He clearly thinks that this team that he's built is good enough to go on and win the major trophies. I think if he did take that Germany squad, he may be planning for the future. But what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like I do feel like, as much as it pains me, I think Klopp is leaving at the end of his contract. And I think the German job is like one thing he really wants to do before he officially finishes up. But I do think the way he coaches and the style he needs to do, he can't be in two different mindsets at once, like what's going on with all the German players and then what's also going on with all my players at Liverpool. So I think the way he coaches, the way he is kind of mentally, I think he needs to be hyper-focused with one job. So I don't think the whole doing both at one time was ever a consideration for him. It's great for us, obviously, as long as we have him, it's wonderful for us. But I think ultimately that's where he ends up in a few years.
Yeah, I mean, Race Nagelman's now being basically the heavy favourite to take over now. Obviously young still, whereas a lot of maybe national team managers are in the twilight of their career. Now, Brandon has just said, he thinks Klopp is still going to leave. I think him rejecting this does open the door to maybe what it was last year for Klopp extending. Feel like every time Klopp has extended over the past few years, there's always been reports saying, "Oh, he's coming to his end. He wants to go on holiday." And even last year, and a couple of years ago, his wife was the one who convinced him to sign a new contract. His family's happy in Liverpool. He's happy in Liverpool, and any job in football is a stressful job. So why not be at a club that absolutely adores you? You're a top 3 manager of all time at that club. I personally think he could extend again. Why not? I think at least a year. If he doesn't do 10 years at the club, I'll be very disappointed, if you want me to be honest. So maybe he stays to 2025, gets that 10 years. But I think we could see an extension, especially I think after rejecting this Germany job, that's a big statement, especially the fact that they were willing to let him do it side by side.
Yeah, I think, with Klopp, and when it comes up, a contract extension for him, I think it's going to be on, a short-term basis or almost year by year. Is he going to extend? Is he going to, depart? Because I think, you know, and I think I'm at the mindset of being a successful national team manager, you can't really be in 2 places at once. Like, you really have to focus your attention on one or the other, especially a country as Germany, who certainly have high expectations for themselves and have really flamed out in the last couple major tournaments. And I think, and another thing with Klopp and his style of coaching and his style of play, I just wonder how that really fits with the national team, and bringing in almost new players every window. Of course, you have your main guys that you rely upon, but there's a lot of new players that you kind of have to adapt to your system and whatnot. And I understand why Germany is obviously interested in Klopp. He's, right in their backyard, German and, national team. Like, that would be, for them, that would be an incredible hire, just to have that on display. We have one of the best managers in the world on our national team. But I think obviously from Liverpool side, we see it as, we want him to stay with us. And of course, I think it's just hard for him to really commit to both things. And, of course, I'm with you, Charlie. I would be surprised if Klopp, kind of ends, his tenure, before 10 years, or, I can see him going, the distance with us, and him ending his, his coaching career just with us in Liverpool. I think, he's accomplished, what he wanted to do. He's won the Bundesliga, he's won the Champions League, the Premier League. He's won it all. I think right now it's just all about him just kind of building on that legacy and truly becoming one of the best, managers, the Premier League has ever seen, and just climbing that list, so I'm of the belief that, Klopp is going to be with us. He certainly, he loves the club. We love him. It's just a mutual feeling with him. I think it takes something, catastrophic, for him to just want to be, done with us at Liverpool. And certainly, this past transfer window, maybe, it certainly didn't go the way we had hoped. That's kind of the friction that we sometimes see, is just the transfer business that we do. It just isn't, what we want it to be. So, I think, Klopp certainly, I mean, like you said, this rejection of, the German team, he shows he respects us, and he knows that, we're his priority. And so anything with the German national team, I think that'll just be just kind of some noise in the background for now.
Yeah, I think as well, Brandon, you said you think he leaves at the end of the year. I think everyone is accepting that at some point in his career, Jurgen Klopp will manage the German national side. It's not a what if, it's a when. It will happen. Maybe it's, in a decade, maybe he does leave at the end of 24, takes a year break, and then, or kind of just waits for whoever's in charge to be let go or be picked up. He's one of the highest earning coaches in world football at the moment. He has a lot of power at the club. We've discussed taking over transfers. Maybe that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I just don't think somebody who is leaving builds this team. You're bringing in players under the age of 24, Dominic Szoboszlai, Alexis McAllister. You're looking at bringing in a right winger, Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, Darwin Núñez. you've got the best goalkeeper in the world. He could be at it for another 10 years easily. You've got the best right back in the world, who again could be at it for another decade with how players how they're conditioned. This team could be primed to go on a run what we saw, from 17, 18 to 20, 21, 22. Do you think Klopp would give that up? We know how much he loves the club. As Ray said, there's such a mutual respect, and I don't think there's another manager in world football who understands Liverpool fans like Jurgen Klopp, and how Liverpool fans understand Jurgen Klopp as well. It is a mutual relationship. And another thing, before I just get your thoughts on that, I think football's becoming it is moving away from managers being at clubs for 10, 15 years. I think we are past that point now where the Sir Alex Fergusons, where the Arsene Wengers, even Rafa Benitez to a certain extent. I think we're past that point now where managers are at clubs for 10 years, because football is such a ruthless sport. We see it with Chelsea every few years, United every few years. Think Jurgen Klopp might be one of the last managers in top football who's going to be at a club for the next, or have a tenure at a club. But it's an interesting one. But kind of back on that point, do you think Klopp is building a team to maybe, see if he can have another long run at it and maybe have 5-6 years challenging at the top?
I think his contract expires 2026, correct?
2024. Or 24, 25. So at the end of next year.
I thought it was 25, 26.
It might have extended it. I'll have a look now, but I think it's 24, 25.
Okay. Because I was thinking it's 25, 26, which I think gives him room with this team to grow it into kind of another juggernaut that we saw the past few years, and then still kind of build like either a success plan or have something ready to go and then build towards that. Well, I'm trying to think of World Cup years. Sorry.
Just to cut in, he is. I didn't realize it's 2025, 26. So he will be at the club for 10 years. So
okay. Yeah. So I don't know if that was the plan when he signed that contract for the 10 years thing. I would, I said it when I mentioned, like, if he moved on to the German team, I want him to stay at the club forever. Never dies, be immortal, and coach us all the way past all of our deaths. Like, I'd be happy if Jurgen Klopp was still manager after I died. But I still think it's in his mind. I think he's even had interviews where he said he wants to manage the German team, if I'm thinking correctly. But I think he wants to build this team for the next 3 years, kind of really be as ruthless as possible, have a succession plan, and then, because he has his own ambitions still. But I want him forever.
Yeah, and race a little bit on there as well. I know you have touched on it, but I think regardless, once Jurgen Klopp leaves, he's getting a statue outside of Anfield. He is on that level of Bob Paisley and Bill Shankly. He is a top 5 legend of the club with them two, Dalglish and Gerrard. And I think the only person who knows when his time is up is Jurgen Klopp, and he will know that. He'll know whether to walk like he did with Dortmund. He's not going to get sacked regardless. He will walk, or he'll just say, "Look, mate, that's enough for me one summer." And I think Liverpool fans are going to respect that. But while we're at the top of our game still, and while we've built a squad to challenge for everything, why not just stay and keep going until just recycle the team? Who knows? Maybe Klopp stays for 20, 25 years and becomes just falls in love with the club, every year like he has done. But that's not a perfect outcome. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, certainly. And I think back to me personally being a Liverpool fan, my first season being a fan was the first season he came in. So Brendan Rodgers started off, and then so Klopp's come in. So the entirety of my time watching Liverpool has been just Jurgen Klopp, and I've been so privileged to be a part of just this team when it's really at its high point in a long time. And so I don't really know what the bad days of Liverpool are. Of course, I certainly understand it. Being a fan of my American teams here, I know what those bad days feel like. And we just haven't experienced those really at all as Liverpool's under Klopp. And so I'm dreading the day that, Klopp, hangs it up and he's done with us. And, he says his goodbyes. It's going to be a real tough day, but hopefully that's not for another few years or 20 or whatever. I mean, he's deserved it all. What he's done for us, again, the famous line of turning doubters into believers. I mean, we believe every season with him that we can win the Premier League, we can win the quadruple, because now we challenge for it. Like, he has changed the whole mindset of this club. Certainly a statue is coming his way. I think it's been nothing short of incredible what he's meant to this club. There's just not much more we can say how much we adore him.
Yeah. Obviously, as well, I think Jurgen Klopp leaves on a trophy. If he does, on a Champions League or Premier League. So, maybe we delay it and keep Klopp as long as possible, and we win it all at once. Win every trophy in the world, and he becomes the best manager of all time in the Premier League. But again, guys, obviously, we'll stay live for a few extra minutes. If you've got any questions, let's put them in chat and we'll bring them up. Can be on anything. Keep them football related and PG, but we'll answer most things. Stu, mate, I know you've been going crazy in the comments. Richie accidentally removed your comment, and it removed all of your comments. It was not about the verifying the rumor thing. And also, go and search it up yourself. Man United wanted Gakpo. It's common knowledge. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but that's common knowledge, and I didn't block you, so sorry about that. You can keep on talking crap, but again, it's not happening. Let's see. We'll talk a little bit about Wolves actually, while comments are coming in. Brandon, there's international breaks happened, and the South Americans are away until Wednesday night. Uruguay and Brazil and Colombia as well. So it means they're going to be getting back to the UK sometime Thursday. So they will have one training session on Friday, and then we play early. Would you still throw them in? Obviously, Alisson's at 100%. He hasn't played because this new coach is an absolute moron at Brazil. So I think Alisson's nailed on. Darwin Núñez is apparently getting rested tonight for some reason, or tomorrow. Apparently he's not playing. So maybe he gets put in. Obviously, and then as well, Diaz is going to be playing. So do you think would you rest them, or it's Wolves away? It's should be winning it with the team we've got, really, shouldn't we?
Be winning this game. I'm pretty down on Wolves' chances this year. I know they played United well, but as United has kind of proven the past few weeks, they are kind of in a mess situation right now. I think this is a game. Like, if Núñez isn't playing, I want to see him start. But if they're coming back Thursday, I think coming off the bench would be a better use for him. Diaz coming off the bench. Obviously, we have the attacking depth where we don't have to start these guys every single game and run them into the ground. We have the depth where we don't have to rush them into another game. I would say Diaz as much as Diaz has been a key to our attack. I think Yoda, Yakpo, Salah, Alisson at the back. That's what I think would be kind of those areas in this midfield. I think I like, as well as Endo played, maybe even giving Endo a start here, Sobo and McAllister in front of him.
Yeah, obviously McAllister's another one I forgot. Race, so it's. I mean, the quality should be there, shouldn't it? Let's be honest. Szoboszlai's back. I still think Trent's fit personally. I think he was probably on the edge, so Liverpool have just pulled him. Robertson will be fine. Obviously, Virgil's missing the game because of the red card. So if Trent isn't fine, we've got a defence there. That's going to be Kwanzaa, Matip, and Joe Gomez at right back, which isn't fun. But I think it should be an easy game enough, shouldn't it?
Well, it should be, but our record sometimes in these early Saturday kickoffs can be not fun at all. And especially, I'm just thinking about just the run of games that we have coming up. We have this game on Saturday, and then our next game is until the following Thursday, which is Europa League. But then we got another game that Sunday, and then another midweek game, and another weekend game. So we got really 5 games coming up here in the next 2.5 weeks. So you talk about those, the South Americans coming in. I could see a case where, Allison would be the nailed on starter, but the other guys kind of maybe ease back in. I think, McAllister, I would still reckon he would start. Maybe take your time with Nunez, and Diaz. Certainly, I think Gakpo, because he's had a good international break. Gakpo might see himself start here
as well.
And Jota too, who certainly would be a fine option as well. So, Wolves again. I have them getting relegated this season. I don't think they're a good squad at all. No real attack. There shouldn't really be an attacking threat from them. So any issues we have in defense, hopefully we can just hold the ball and really rely on our midfield, because we're going to have Soboslai, maybe Endo. Be interesting to see if Gravenberch, I don't think he'll start, but maybe he'll come on in the game and get some minutes there.
Elliot, I think Elliot's massively impressed as well. So I don't think it's out the question that we play Endo, Soboslai, and then Curtis Jones or Harvey Elliott in left centre mid. That should be enough to really beat Wolves, if we're being honest.
It should. I still back us to win this game. It's just, again, I just worry about these stupid early kickoffs on Saturday. Early for me. Games be at 5:30 a.m. for me, so I'm going to be up bright and early for that one. But I just hate these. They always make me nervous, these games. They always do.
Yeah, especially when it's not at Anfield too.
That too.
So it's fun. I guess the breaking news, not really. Scotland are 2-0 down, and Andy Robertson passed it to Jude Bellingham to score. So he's broken our streak of Liverpool players being unbelievable in the internationals this week. So it is what it is. But Stu, here's your link, mate. Cody Gakpo even talked about this, so enjoy. But yeah, so I think that's all really. I think we'll end it a bit early today. News is a bit quiet. But again, we will be live later tonight with our American show, Stars, Stripes and Anfield Nights. Very rolls off the tongue nicely. So make sure you are subscribed to that with the bell notifications on. That is 9 p.m. EST, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. West Coast time. And 2 a.m. UK time if you happen to be up. So everyone for joining, thank you. James, Helior, Oswald, Gary, Jen, Vase of Flowers, even you, Stu. Thanks for joining us. Hope you liked the video. But I've been Charlie. This has been the LFC Transfer Room. Brandon Race, thank you very much for joining us. And we will see you later today. Peace out.